Every person you see who's on fire and is successful knows the why. You know what the problem is? You might know the why in the beginning. You wrote a mission statement and stuff like that. You got to know why you're doing this right now. This right now. That's what's going to engage you and activate the why. You might have a why, but it's not active. How many follow the difference what I'm talking about here? Say I. Otherwise, that little law of familiarity shows up. You know, well, we're doing this because da-da-da-da-da, and you repeat the why, but it has no emotion behind it. See, if I take a stick pin, no, I don't see anything like that, but you know when a woman has a blouse, they have like a little stick pin in it? Let's think that stick pin is a word. And I take that stick pin and I throw it at you. Are you going to feel it? Barely. What if I take that little stick pin called a word and I wire it to the back of a giant iron bar called emotion? Now I can take that stick pin and put that thing right through your heart. That's the power of why. RPM. R is the result, the outcome, what you're after. P is the purpose. It's the why. 80% of success is why. 20% is how. Get a big enough why, people will figure out how to do it.
Yes.
How many agree with me on this? Say I. So you better know your why. So, talking to the president, tell me something. What's your outcome? And then why? And once we know the why, we know what you're after and why, then the question is, how do we do it? We know what we're after, why, how do we do it? By the way, are there lots of hows to get to an outcome, yes or no? Yes. Are there many paths to get a result, yes or no? Yes. Some are more efficient than others. And you're not going to know, so you know what you do? You brainstorm out all the hows you can think of. All the things you could possibly need to do to get that result. And then you narrow it down to the 20% that makes 80% of the difference. And you'll find out you don't have to do that whole to-do list. In fact, wouldn't it be nice to write your whole to-do list and not do it and still get the outcome? How many prefer that? Say I. That's RPM. I love it when I don't do my to-dos and I got the outcome. That's the coolest thing in the world. You might have done one or two of them, but it's been learning selectively which ones are going to create it. But the only way to do that is to brainstorm out the M, the massive action plan. If I know the result I'm after, I know what it is I want. What's the outcome? What's the result? What do I want specifically, clearly? And I know the why, and the why has got to move who? Who does the why have to matter to? Well, if it's a why you're trying to get everybody to deal with, they got to have a why involved in it. But people do things for different reasons. People donate money for different reasons. Some of you donated money the other day here because you were moved by the experience. Some of you did it for connection. Some of you did it to contribute. Some of you felt guilty if you didn't do it because somebody else did beside you. Or you have a lot of money and you feel guilty about it because you didn't earn it. I'm not saying anybody in this room, but that's how some people are. They inherited it, so they feel guilty. Some people do things to get their name up on the wall. Some people today do it anonymously and then tell everyone. Isn't it true? Yeah, just confidentially. That was me. And everybody tells everybody that it's anonymous. They're doing it for significance. Some do it for connection. Some do it for contribution. I don't care why a person does it, but we do it. But if you're going to work with a group of people, you better make sure the why touches on all their needs. Does that make sense? When it's you, whose why does it have to be? Whose why does it have to touch? Whose purpose does it have to be? Your own for you to be moved. So if you know the result and you know the purpose, now you need the M, which is the massive action plan. We also call the massive action plan the map. It's your massive action plan, your map. How are you going to get there? What are you going to do? And by the way, when you're crystal clear on what you want and you know why you want it, you can make a big map. You can brainstorm a million ways to do it. Not all your houses are going to work. That's why you make a whole map. And then go back and gradually asterisk the ones that are the most important and go hit those. You might get the whole outcome in the first two action items and get rid of your whole rest of your list. This is RPM. This is how I operate. Now, if you never did this on paper and you just did this thinking process in your head, you'll get invaluable resources. If you learn to put this on paper, it'll be more powerful because then your brain isn't racing and you can see it. If you make it into a system that you personally use, your productivity will explode. If you teach your whole company to do this, your company will go to levels you can't even imagine because everyone will maximize their productivity. And it is different than any other system in its essence because it causes a different focus with a different level of emotion, greater creativity as a result of that, and then it shows you how to leverage it all. Does this make sense? So those three pieces, results planning, asking what question? What's the first question you're going to always ask? What do I really want? What's my outcome? What's the actual result I want? from this day, from this week, from this conversation, from this meeting, doesn't matter what it is. If that's all you ever do, you're already practicing RPM at a fundamental level. But if you want to juice it up, you'll ask the second question. What's the second question? Quick. Why do I want it? Why? What's juicy about this? What excites me about this? What do I really want about this? If I'm going to call this person, why am I calling them? And you know what? When you get a stronger why, the action items change because you're in a different what? Who knows? A different what? Make that same call without any clear outcome and any clear purpose, or the outcome is get back to them. That's my goal. Get back to them. What's going to be the quality of the writing or the phone call or the vocal quality when you're getting back to somebody? Versus if you know my outcome is to make sure they feel like I am so in their corner that I'm here to make sure their needs are completely met, more than they've ever met by any person they've ever spoken to on the phone before, and that I am here for them and they can count on me. Why? Because that's who the hell I am. Because when people deal with me, they have found someone like no other human being they've ever dealt with, and I am a source they can count on. That's why I don't have to go chase 8 million new clients. That's why they stay my client for 17 years and pay me $1 million a year to talk to them on the phone once every 10 days for 10 minutes and see them 3 times a year for an hour. And I get a piece of the upside, so sometimes I get a couple $1 million for that. Why would somebody pay you that kind of money? Because when my guy calls me, he gets delivery he can't get anywhere else on the face of the earth. So I pride myself in that. And by the way, that feels juicy to me. It meets my need for contribution, for my need for growth, my need for significance. I'm the best at what I do. My need for certainty, I deliver. As a variety, who the hell knows what's going to happen when I pick up this phone? It's different every time. Because the market's changed, something's going on. How many follow? Say I. It's a very different thing than, oh, I'm getting back to my client, right? And the way you're going to come across is different. And everybody will go, wow. And in life anyway, by the way, the people who are the very best on earth that get paid everything like 100 times more than everybody else, they're just a little bit better than everybody else. It's like, you know, a bear's chasing you. I don't have to be that fast, just that much faster than you, right? In life, you just have to be a little bit better than everybody else and you get all the rewards. And that little bit better, to me, is RPM. Okay? Now, RPM is also a visual chunking system, visual way to chunk. Remember the other day when I showed you this little concept of this chunking system where, you know, you have this to do and this to do, this to do, I gotta do this, I gotta do this and this and this, and I gotta do this and this and this and this, and I gotta do this and this and this. By the way, this is what happens when you ask yourself, what do I gotta do? Which I'm gonna show you, you should still do. You should ask yourself all the things you do and write them all out. And then when you've written it all out, you look at this and you step back and you say, okay, but what do I really want? What do I want out of this project? What do I want out of this day? What do I want out of this week? What's the most important outcome I could get out of this day, this week, this project, this element? What result do I want? And you go, well, I see this and this relate to that, but you know what I want this. Oh, if I want this, then this and 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 this all fit into that targeted outcome. How many follow? And I might go, you know what else? I also should do this and this to get that outcome. They're not even on the list. But these might get me there faster than all 3 of these. Oh, by the way, this and this and this and this and this and this and this, all right. Oh, and guess what? This and this and this and this and this, all right. And guess what? There's my day. 1, 2, 3. 3 outcomes, 4 outcomes, 5 outcomes. It's a different world. You will get yourself completely out of reaction. You start to take control. My question to you is this. How important do you think it would be for you to master a skill set like this, for you to have the quality of life you want, quality of business you want? 0 to 10, what would be the level of importance you'd give this, my friends? How big? Where would you put it for you? Raise your hand if it's a 10 for you. Let me see your hands. Good. I'm not going to teach you today. But I'm going to teach you enough that you can take yourself to the next level. If you want to go deeper, you will. But I didn't want you to leave without the fundamentals of it, because just the fundamentals will help you to take what we've got here and take it home and go to work at it at a much more effective level. So if someone gave you a test and they asked you, what would be the fastest way for you to change your productivity? It would be stop focusing on what to and focus on your, you do nothing else but that. What does RPM stand for? The Rapid Planning Method, also known as the Results Planning Method. It also stands for the 3 questions you're going to start to ask. What's the first question? It is not, what am I going to? The first question is, what is my? And then as you get more clear than that, outcome starts broad. To make it more specific, you say, what's the specific what? Result that I'm after. What do I really want? What's my outcome? What's the result? So usually I start out with the outcome because it's broad, and the result makes you make it even more specific. Okay? Start broad, get more specific. And by the way, writing that down, you might write your outcome and scribble out and rewrite it a few times so you got something that really grabbed you. That takes more time than just writing a to-do down. But it's time well wasted if you want to think of it as wasting. And pretty quickly, by the way, you know what you're going to find out? There aren't that many outcomes you're after in life. Lots of activities, not that outcomes, and pretty soon it'll be a shortcut. Just like rewriting your handwriting, you won't just cut the time in half, it'll cut it by 2/3 because you'll know right where to go. That's what starts to happen. You start developing what I call pathways of power, where you know, this is what I do, this is how I do it, this is how I get to that result. And most people have no clue how they get there. The second P stands for, the second question I ask myself is what? What's my purpose? Why am I doing this? And there are different emotions for each of us that drive us most. Some words will completely change your state. When you have that right word, for me it's impact, for example, or love, or contribution, or making a difference, or have fun. A couple things like that change the game for me overnight versus I have to.
Anyone that wishes to have power over others, anyone that can do things to people and have no empathy for the consequences, is themselves in a tiny box of perception. What the Illuminati and what the manipulators have done, and they've done it brilliantly, I have to say, because they may not be wise, but they are clever on an intellectual level. Cleverness without wisdom is the most destructive force on earth. That's why we are in such a state that we're in. You know, it's very clever to know how to build an atomic bomb, but it's not wise to do so. There is a difference between cleverness and wisdom. But on an intellectual level, they're very clever. And what they've done is manipulate humanity through the suppression of knowledge and these other means into a smaller box than they're in. But we have the potential to get out of the box. Well, they have the potential too, but far less potential because they're so caught in this mentality that they're in of control. And what is control? Control is massive, massive insecurity. That's what these people are, the Illuminati and these reptilian entities and all the rest. They are consumed by insecurity and fear themselves. That's why they know how to manipulate fear and insecurity so well, because they're connected to it so powerfully. People who are insecure want to control everything because they're not secure enough within themselves just to go with the flow of life and see where it goes. Secure people don't need control over other people. Insecure people do. And I use this analogy a lot because it really kind of encapsulates it for me. Our natural state is not what we have been experiencing in known human history anyway. Our natural state is where we're going, and more people are opening up to. And I use this analogy like the natural state of a ball is floating on the top of the water, floating on the top of the tank or whatever. To keep it in an unnatural state, you have to push it down to the bottom of the water. I mean, you can't let it go. You have to constantly hold it there. And that's why, as I've been describing today, and I could describe a lot more, we have been subjected to multi-levels of suppression and manipulation from the things we eat, the electromagnetic fields we come into contact with, the way that we're manipulated through words, etc., and religion and belief systems. All those things are necessary to hold us in an unnatural state of being unconscious. And why are all those things necessary? Because we are amazing, infinite, eternal genius. And we've been held in this unnatural state. But, like I say, if you're going to hold the ball in the unnatural state, you've got to hold it there. Because the moment you let it go, woof, it's in its natural state, because that's where it will gravitate to immediately. And the moment we throw off the chains and the shackles of this manipulation and of this misunderstanding of who we are and where we are, then as we break those chains, those vibrational chains, we are going to become conscious by definition, because that's what we are. You know, people think, I've got to seek enlightenment. No, we are enlightened. That's our natural state.
The law of awareness says you must know yourself to grow yourself. James Russell Lowell, in your notes, no one can produce great things who is not thoroughly sincere in dealing with himself. What a powerful statement that is. You and I need to become aware of who we are, and we need to know what our passion is. We need to know what our purpose is. When people talk about themselves and trying to find themselves, I immediately talk to them about what is your passion, what is your purpose. Let me kind of walk you through this kind of quickly of how to figure this out, because this is so important in your awareness. The first question I would ask you about your passion is, do you like what you're doing now? Surprisingly, the majority of the people, when I ask them that question, say no. And this amazes me. I'll be just having a conversation. Hey, do you like your job? You know what? Most people say they don't. And sometimes they'll even look at me and say, well, I don't really care for my job. What would you advise me to do? And then they don't like my advice, because when somebody tells me they don't like their job, I just immediately say, well, I'd quit. I have no idea. Now, please, maybe some of you can help me in the audience today. I have no idea why somebody would do something every day that they didn't like. This is beyond me. Why would a person go and do a job that they don't like and complain about it all day and call it life? And to be honest with you, I don't want to work beside them either, because it's bad enough for them to be miserable in what they're doing, but when they're miserable in what they're doing, guess what they do to you? They make you miserable. Haven't you just been beside miserable before? You know what I'm saying? You kind of felt good, but by the end of the day, you felt bad. And you say, well, what did I do to feel bad? You sat with that person. You know what I'm saying? So when people say, well, I don't like my job, what kind of advice do you give me? This is an IQ test. Quit. Why would you, it's beyond me. Why would you every day do something what is your passion? And yet I know people who literally spend their whole life. No wonder people look forward to retirement. They can hardly wait to get out. It's almost like prison. They're going to be free at last. The second question is, what would you like to do? Because there is a relationship between finding your passion and reaching your potential. That's a fact. What would you like to do? Let me just, since we're talking about personal growth, say that if you would have known me when I was in school, junior high and high school, I tell parents all the time, when parents are worried about their kids because their kids just seem to be goofing off, and they say, boy, my kids just don't seem to be buckling down. I always say, just relax, take a pill. Because if they would have seen me as a kid, as a parent, they would be greatly encouraged. Because when I went to school, it was nothing but party. There was one wonderful thing about school was your friends. And I had a whole bunch of friends. And I didn't do studies. My study hall was going around visiting my friends. That was kind of like fellowship time for me. And I was playing ball and I was enjoying myself. And I didn't get good grades. And I just basically, I was smart enough to wing it and get through high school. If you just hang in and breathe, you get there. You know what I'm talking about. So it's not like a huge accomplishment. It's, can you just stick around long enough? They'll pass you. They kind of pass you up. You know what I mean? And my dad and I, we had these long talks. My dad and I have these long talks. He said, John, you just don't seem to be disciplined. You don't seem to be focused. You just want to play ball and be with your friends. And you're right. And I wasn't. When I went to college, it turned around immediately. Because when I went to college, I was going to get a do now and study for something I wanted to go do. And immediately I made the dean's list. Immediately I disciplined myself. Immediately I started studying. Wasn't really any problem. But can I tell you something? The reason I didn't do it in high school is because I wasn't getting what I wanted to get to go where I really wanted to go. In the moment, me being pragmatic, that I found that I got the subjects down and I could study, they were going to prepare me for the ministry. I got all excited, passionate, the whole process. So you got to ask yourself, what would you like to do? Because when you find what you'd like to do, that ignites your passion. And when your passion is ignited, that begins to increase your potential. That's when you start moving up the potential ladder.
The consciousness is not an object. You could never say, there it is. That's actually, Jesus said literally when they asked, when does the kingdom of heaven come, or where is it? Kingdom of the sky. You can never say, there it is, or it's over there. That's what he literally said. So you can't say the consciousness, this is the analogy, the sky is the consciousness. Not the only place where it's used also used sometimes in Chinese, ancient Chinese spirituality, philosophy, Taoism, and so on, the heaven, the sky, the vastness of it, but it is intangible. It does not exist in the same way that consciousness does not exist, because exist, that word means ex is from the Latin out. Ist to stand, it stands out. Something that exists stands out into this world. It projects itself into this dimension. But the sky does not exist because you can never find it. And the consciousness does not exist in the way that something out here exists. It is the ground for existence. It is the being before the being becomes something. So there is being and there is existence. The being, very different. It sounds almost like an obscure existentialist treatise, being and existence. But that is why people like Jesus use the sky as the closest he could get to explaining what the unconditioned consciousness is. And so when you look at the sky, the equivalent of the vast emptiness or spaciousness of the clear sky is your inner spaciousness or emptiness. And you can never say, it can never become an object for yourself in the same way as I see the table, or there I'm now aware of the consciousness. You can't be aware of the consciousness because the awareness is it. So there's no duality. You can't make it into an object. And that means when you are rooted in that dimension within yourself, that is very different from the form identity, the egoic identity. In the egoic identity, you have made yourself into an object of consciousness, starting with, as we mentioned the other day, the pool of water in which Narcissus saw himself, the ancient myth. And so that was the beginning of human consciousness forming an image of itself and mistaking the mental image for who you are.
Hi, welcome back to Mind Control.
The secret to building discipline and willpower in your life. And this is going to be a very short video because the answer to this is very simple. The secret to building discipline, willpower, is every single day, listen to me now, every single day you got to do something that sucks. That's it. Do something that sucks every single day. Do something that's hard, that's difficult, that's uncomfortable, that you don't feel like doing it, but you do it anyways. That's how you build and cultivate the muscle, because that's what it is, the muscle of discipline and willpower. It's something that you build over time. It's something that you challenge yourself, and it gets stronger and stronger and stronger the more that you push yourself to do things that suck. Now, the king of this is doing a cold shower. Okay, cold shower. It's one of my favorite things I do in the morning. Very simple, doesn't have to be scary or that difficult. You take your warm shower. At the end of the shower, you turn the faucet on cold, and you let it run cold for 30 seconds. You count to 30, and then you turn it off, and you go about your day. That simple act right there, doing something that's uncomfortable, that sucks. You know, nobody that I know of enjoys taking a cold shower. There's a lot of great health benefits to it, but for the most part, it's doing something uncomfortable. That one act will build discipline and willpower and transfer to other aspects of your life. Now, maybe for you, it's making your bed first thing in the morning. That simple act, it symbolizes something for your life, and it's building that habit of discipline and willpower. Maybe for you, it's going to the gym. Maybe it's eating healthier. Maybe it's meditation, something that so many people are afraid to indulge in because they get bored. But by training yourself just to sit in silence without any distractions, without the TV, without social media, just being silent and focus on your breath for 10 minutes and disciplining yourself to do that, even if you don't want to do it, that's the point. That's why you got to do it, is to build that discipline and that willpower. Maybe it's waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning, setting the alarm clock. You don't feel like waking up, but you do. The more that you do things that are difficult in your life, that are challenging, that suck, that you don't feel like doing, the more that you build the muscle of discipline, the more that you build your willpower, the more you are disciplined in other aspects of your life, and it transfers to everything else for you. So that's the secret. Do something every day that sucks. I want to know what that one thing is. Leave a comment below to stick one thing for now. One thing, leave a comment, let me know what that is, and start doing that every single day. And I can promise you, your life will get better.
I used to say one man built his house on sand and the other man built it on the rock, but I overlooked the fact that the guy who built on the rock did not build on the rock because the rock was there. He built on the rock because he dug to the rock. When we are doers of the word, we will dig for the rock. If you are hearers of the word, you go for the promise without the preparation. But in being a doer of the word, you will prep for the promise because you know the promise is shata. You know the promise is big enough that it justifies preparation so that when it does appear, it will not disappear. Oh, y'all don't hear what I'm saying. Yeah. Somebody in here understands what I'm talking about. Look at somebody and say, I'm working on something. I know it doesn't look like I'm working on something because you don't see no bricks and you don't see no fancy doors yet. You don't see no gables yet, but I'm working on something. I know it looks like I got a big old hole in my yard, but I'm working on something. I know I don't have shrubs like he got. I don't have roses like she has. I don't have stone walls like he had. That's all right. I'm looking shabby, but I'm working on something. When I get through digging down to this rock, as soon as I hit her, God is saying it is worth it to hit the rock. It is worth it to look bad for a little while and come up looking good for a lifetime than to look good for a minute. I need some slow-cooked people in this room. I need some people that's been through hell and back. I need some people that's been dug down to the rock and said, having done all to stand, I'm going to stand anyway. Oh, if you got a rock in you, give the Lord a praise right now.
If you want to be able to get your arms around a big organization that produces, you got to develop the skills. You've got to put yourself through the early disciplines. But now here's what's exciting about the discipline. One of my key phrases for the whole day. Disciplines work miracles. Disciplines work miracles. And here's the first piece that works miracles. Number one, do what you can. Do not let neglect grab you by the throat. Don't let neglect stall you on your path toward prosperity and health, being able to become powerful, influential, rich beyond wildest imagination. Don't neglect what you can do. If you can read, read. If you can change, change. If you can grow, grow. If you can take one step, take one step. Do not neglect to do whatever you can do at the moment. Of course, you can't run a multi-billion-dollar business today. Mark couldn't either 10 years ago. Mark couldn't either 5 years ago. But I'm telling you, today he can do it because step by step, year by year, he took on what he could do. He didn't neglect it. He did the meetings he could do. He made the calls he could make. He read the books he could read. He took the classes he could take. And step by step, he got himself ready. I'm telling you, do not neglect to do whatever you can do because it'll work miracles. Of personal development first, productivity second. Now, do what you can. Here's number two, do the best you can. Hopefully you picked that up, especially from the president's team. That's how they got here with diamonds in their pins. They not only did what they could, they did the best they could. They've done the best they could. They've been able to do, and I'm telling you, that's why Herbalife has got this incredible reputation. They've picked up Mark's challenge that said, let us grow, let us start with easy steps first, let's do what we can first. If it's a foggy night and you can only see 100 feet, how can you see another 100 feet? Answer, walk the first 100 feet. Walk as far as you can see, and then you can see some more. And walk as far as you can see, and then you can see some more. So what you've picked up here, just do it as far as you can see it. And I promise you, if you'll execute as far as you can see it, you'll be able to see more. Do that, then you can see more. And finally, get in tune of doing the best you can. And you'll have the activity that'll develop the disciplines that will set this sail so that you can say, it doesn't matter how the wind blows. I'm prepared. The disciplines that work miracles, here's the real miracle that works so well in Herbalife. Investing life, one person's life invested in another. I'm telling you, you cannot have the potential for miracle with any simpler formula than that. Somebody who developed a testimonial and now invests that testimonial in someone else's attention, someone else's mind, gets them to think about it, gets them to respond to it. Now we've got the miracle called a new customer. Investing the opportunity, idea, in someone telling them the Herbalife opportunity, now we've got a new distributor. Disciplines create new life by investing one person's life into another person's life. That's why I came by today. Mark Hughes invited me to come along on this journey to let me do something so grand and so powerful. I would not have missed this opportunity to invest a piece of my life into this many lives here today. I'm telling you, it's going to work miracles. And I'm asking you at home, because our whole life is not only concerned with our business and our customers and our distributors and our organization, all of the things that we're proud of and the banners and the flags and all the rest of it. One of the most important is to become valuable by discipline to your family. No greater place can you invest life into life than to invest in your family. Don't give your distributors the best of your attention and your family the least of your attention. Don't be careful with your distributors and careless with your family. Be just as careful with a child as you are with a distributor, because sometimes we think about volume and we think about money and we think about income, so we're very careful. But sometimes the people around us who need this investment the most to create new life, sometimes we're a little careless about investing life into life when it seems like it's so close and it's so familiar. We don't take the time to study ways and means for the language and the skills to invest life into life concerning our family. Don't be short here.
We got to remember the most important person to influence is ourselves. If we can do that, then we can contribute to others in ways that give our life a sense of meaning and purpose. I really want you to get that in the end, the meaning in life comes from contribution, from knowing that you're doing something you believe in and that makes a difference. You've got to know your outcome. The more clear you are on what you want, the more you empower your brain to come up with answers. Clarity is power. You must get focused on what you want so that you have something that's the driving force behind your behavior. When you know your outcome, you've empowered yourself.
You can either live your dreams or live your fears. And I think the majority of people actually are not living their dreams, but are living their fears. So I want to ask you a question. What are your fears? We all have something that's blocking us, that's holding us back. And as we begin to look at life, what we realize is that the reason that most people are not living out their true potential, are not doing all of the things that they would really like to do, is because
section. Please also like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends and families. Please watch our other motivational videos. Thank you again.
For many people, the greatest detriment to their success tomorrow is their thinking today. If their thinking is limited, so is their potential. But if people can keep growing in their thinking, they will constantly outgrow what they're doing. Good thinking produces more good thinking if you make it a habit. Albert Einstein observed, "The solutions to the problems we face today cannot be solved on the same level of thinking we were at when we created them." Look around you, and you'll see that it is true. the world keeps getting more and more complicated. The good news is that no matter how complicated life gets or how difficult problems may seem, good thinking can make a difference if you make it a consistent part of your life.
To be productive, to make an impact, to create a presence. That's why we're here. To work, to leave our mark. And so do an evaluation of yourself. Ask yourself, if you look at 24 hours, how much time do you spend developing your mind? How much time do you spend learning a new skill? The economy has changed. 47 million jobs will be lost to artificial intelligence. Majority of money being made on the planet is being made virtually at home on a computer. The game has changed. And I'm encouraging you, get around people who are using their time productively, because people rub off on you. When you know your purpose, that narrows how you use your time. How are you using your time? You have something special. You have the ability to do more than you can ever begin to imagine.
So as long as peace guards your heart and your mind, your life can go through anything, as long as you don't get so caught up in your swing, in your business, in your dream, in your hope, in your potentials, that you drop your guard. Stand right still, steady yourself, take control of the situation. And no matter what you read, or what you heard, or what they say, or what they do, don't drop your guard. You can make it through anything as long as you don't drop your guard.
You see, the largest gap between successful and unsuccessful people in life is the thinking gap. I'm not talking about being smart. I'm not talking about an IQ. I'm talking about how you think, how I think. Successful people think differently than unsuccessful people. The most important real estate, the most important real estate in life is 6 inches between the ears. How we think.
Never say, I don't know what it is that I got. What's most important, commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thoughts shall be established. Commit yourself to do that which is in your heart. You were not born to work for a living, but to live your making. And living your making will make your living. We get paid to work on a job. That's what we get paid for. But your calling is something you're made for. What is it that you would do free? Something that you love it so much, you do it for free, and you do it so well that people will pay you to do it. That's your dream. That's your superpower. And do that, because if it's something that resonates with you, it's something that's in your heart. Where your heart is, there your treasure is also. Remember A.L. Williams said, all you can do is all you can do, and all you can do is enough. But make sure you do all you can do. We always go all in on something that we love. What's in your heart? Because where your heart is, there your treasure is also. In my book, I say, live a heart-centered life. Use your time to operate from that consciousness of Henry David Thoreau, who said, do not go where the path may lead, go where there is no path, and leave a trail. If you just decide, I'm going to find something that I would enjoy doing, and then I'm going to carve out the time and have a schedule that I'm working on it every day, listen to me, nobody can touch you. There's no competition. There's no excuse today for not becoming successful. Even if you've just lost your job, even if you're going through foreclosure and eviction, you can come back. You have no competition because the majority of the people throw their time away and they have nothing to show for it.
It's easy to go around thinking that the obstacle is too big, we'll never get well. We wonder why we don't have any strength, why we can't get ahead. It's because our thoughts are limiting us. We draw in what we constantly think about. You can't think defeat and have victory. You can't think weakness and have strength. Your life is going to follow your thoughts. Instead of thinking these weak, defeated, not able to thoughts, you need to think power thoughts. This sickness is no match for me. This virus can't stop my destiny. This trouble at work is not how my story ends. Victory starts in our mind. Success, breakthroughs, new levels depends on our thinking. Be careful what you think because your thoughts run your life. Are your thoughts helping you or hurting you? Are you thinking power thoughts, victory thoughts, well-able thoughts? Or are you thinking defeated thoughts? I'll never get well, never accomplish my dreams, never break this addiction. You're choosing which direction your life is going to go. Pay attention to what you're dwelling on. Don't just think any thought that comes to mind. If it's negative, discouraging, fearful, don't give it the time of day.
Becoming a better thinker is worth your effort because the way you think really impacts every aspect of your life. It doesn't matter whether you are a business person, teacher, parent, scientist, pastor, or corporate executive. Good thinking will make you a better business person, teacher, parent, scientist, pastor, or corporate executive. Good thinking creates the foundation for good results. If you don't like the crop you're reaping, you need to change the seed you're sowing. When it comes to achievement, the seed is your thinking. Good thinking increases your potential. If your thinking shapes who you are, then it naturally follows that your potential is determined by your thinking. Achieving your potential comes from making progress, and progress is often just a good idea away.
There's a simple but often overlooked premise in business, and that is new growth comes from new thinking. New growth comes from new thinking. Expecting new growth for your business without new ways of thinking about it is like a farmer expecting new crops to grow without first planting the seeds.
It's the time if you want to be on top of your game. Now listen, this is not for everybody. The masses will use their time being a spectator. We have been conditioned and programmed to be spectators, to watch people live their dreams. You want to use your time living the kind of life that people watch you. You want to use your time perfecting your skill and your passion to stand out as an expert.
When you think about growing, whenever you're faced with a situation that you can't control and you make the decision to grow, it kind of trims the fat, right? The things that are not important, the things that are no longer something that you got to just focus on every single day. I'm talking about foolishness, right? When you make that decision to grow, it's just like in marriage, just like being a father. You zoom in on that thing on such a level to where it's like, opposition is what it is, the challenge is what it is, but every single day I'm going to come in and be intentional about growth. And when you change the way you think about growth, right? When you change your perspective, how you see things, the opportunity for growth, man, is limitless. Every single day, you got all of us in the world that are dealing with a similar situation, but people are responding differently. It's like the quote that says, we all got problems, but what makes us different is how we solve them. Every single day I wake up and I'm intentional about my growth. I'm intentional about it.
Zig said most people in a fearful situation, they forget everything and run. But there are a small number, the road to life is straight and narrow, and few there be that find it, who face everything and rise. He said, if the dream is big enough, the odds don't matter. And so when you say dream big, that's major. One, there's power in pursuit, because as Jim Rohn said, it's not the accomplishment of the goal that matters. It's what you become in pursuit of the dream in the process. Because when you have a big dream, it will introduce you to a part of yourself that you don't know right now, that you will never discover in your comfort zone. Because in order to achieve that dream, you've got to die to who you are now. I must die daily